Former Sheriff Jamey Noel, once in a position of power, now finds himself on the other side of the law. After pleading guilty to 27 serious charges like theft, tax evasion, and obstruction of justice, he's finally been sentenced. In this video, we will get into the key moments of his case. And before we get into the details, go ahead and like this video and subscribe to our channel. Who of the story? This is the story of Jamey Noel, a name that used to stand for leadership in Clark County. He served as the Clark County Sheriff from 2015 until 2022, but his influence didn't stop there. He also held key roles in organizations like the Utica Township Volunteer Firefighters Association, New Chapel EMS, and New Chapel Fire, working with these non-profit EMS agencies that provide essential services across Clark and Floyd Counties. For years, Noel was at the heart of emergency response teams, holding these leadership roles since 1993. However, things took a major turn. In November 2023, Noel was placed on administrative leave from these agencies. Then, in January 2024, he was permanently removed from his roles. Once a figure of authority, Noel now faces the repercussions of the choices that led him here. Let's get into the full story. Since June 2023, Noel's been on the radar of state police. They've been digging deep into his activities, and now he's up against a whopping 25 felony charges. These aren't just minor issues either. He's facing serious accusations like theft, ghost employment, and tax evasion. It's all tied to some questionable spending habits and practices involving both a nonprofit he's connected to and the Clark County Sheriff's Office. But here's where things get even more complicated. Noel's not the only one in the hot seat. His wife and one of his daughters are also facing charges. It seems this case isn't just about one person, but involves his close family too. November 2023. It all started in November 2023 when Noel was arrested for the first time. The arrest was a big deal, but he didn't stay behind bars for long. January 2024. Jamey had been running things at UTVFA for quite a while, making the big decisions and guiding the organization. But everything changed in January 2024. The board had finally had enough and decided it was time for a fresh start. They came together, talked it over, and in the end, they ousted Jamey from his position. February 2024. In February 2024, a new report from the State Board of Accounts dropped a bombshell about Noel and one of his associates. The report revealed they were tied to more than $900,000 from the Clark County Sheriff's Office and state funds. April 2024. In April 2024, a report from the Indiana State Board of Accounts dropped some shocking findings. According to this report, former Clark County Sheriff Jamey Noel and his family had allegedly spent or personally benefited from over $4 million of funds that weren't theirs, and it all happened over the past 5 years. The report explores the financial activities of a nonprofit Noel was connected with, looking closely at spending between 2019 and 2023. What they found was shocking. Noel and two of his family members allegedly charged over $2.9 million on New Chapel credit cards for personal expenses. And these weren't just everyday purchases. Auditors discovered charges for items like a plane, clothing, furniture, cigars, firearms, even college tuition, donations to Republican campaigns, and child support payments to a former Clark County council member with whom he has a child. The audit provides a clear breakdown of the spending, focusing heavily on Noel's use of an American Express account. According to the report, Noel is said to have charged more than $2.1 million, without any record showing these expenses were for nonprofit purposes. There was also an additional $39,000 charged to a Chase account. In total, auditors claim that Noel is responsible for around $3.5 million in funds either misspent or lost from the organization. When auditors dug deeper into the American Express charges, the list kept growing. They say Noel spent more than $360,000 on retail purchases, $323,000 on travel, nearly $150,000 on aircraft and automotive expenses, and close to $72,000 on alcohol and tobacco. One detail that really stood out was nearly $54,000 spent at a local cigar lounge. Apparently, Noel was known for inviting people to join him there, insisting on covering the bill for everyone's cigars. The report revealed details about how Noel and his family were using funds from New Chapel. The report doesn't just look at Noel's spending. It exposes a big problem with how New Chapel EMS was run as a whole. As for the others involved, the report shows that there were 2 additional cardholders on New Chapel's American Express account: CEO Matt Owen and Kevin Wilkerson, a current employee. Owen's total charges came to a modest $111.90, which auditors say appeared to be strictly for nonprofit purposes. But Wilkerson's spending was a different story. Out of more than $279,000 in charges, nearly $41,000 were flagged as personal expenses. Although auditors requested that he and Noel repay this amount together, some of the extravagant expenses he racked up include $15,000 on Rolex watches, a luxury that's hard to justify from nonprofit funds. He spent $25,000 on a Cessna airplane. There's also $16,618 spent on airplane maintenance, inspections, and repairs. Again, for personal benefit. Current update. After nearly a year since his arrest in the dramatic raid on his home by Indiana State Police, former Sheriff Jamey Noel finally agreed to a plea deal. The courtroom was tense as the judge handed down the sentence. Noel would spend 15 years behind bars, although there's a chance that 3 of those years could be suspended. But the consequences didn't stop there. He was also ordered to pay millions of dollars in restitution to those he wronged. Noel has some hefty financial obligations ahead of him. He has to pay back $2,870,924 to the Utica Township Firefighters Association and $61,190.77 to the Sheriff's Department. He's also on the hook for $173,155.07 owed to the Indiana Department of Revenue, which includes his wife, Misty Noel. On top of that, he has to cover $35,245.60 for costs related to the storage of evidence handled by the Indiana State Police. The judge didn't let up either. Noel was ordered to pay $270,000 in court costs. As this case moves forward, it's clear that the repercussions for Noel are significant. If you want to stay updated on this story and see how it all develops, make sure to subscribe to our channel.